All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us here, my name is Luke Laster from the Wood TV Live Desk. This afternoon, joined by Ellen Bacca. Some pretty serious weather, if I do say so myself, out there. So we're going to dive right into it. Before we do, though, I do want to take a mention. You can see it there in the description of this post. Use those hashtags there, hashtag Hey Luke or hashtag Hey Ellen, and we'll be able to answer your winter storm related questions. So Ellen, let's talk about, actually before I want to say happy National Weather Person's Day.
You remembered. Look at you.
So that said, let's talk about some current conditions that we have out there.
That sounds great. So we still have really low visibilities. We still have the active radar. What's so cool about days like today is the wind is so blustery that it's carrying the lake effect snow bands basically everywhere. So you don't just have to be west of 131. Everyone waking up to snow. Some of the snow reports that we've been getting in, 6 inches in Hastings. Charlotte saw 6.5. So that just goes to show how the pockets of snow swept in and the lake effect snow together. So we actually have a graphic that shows some of the snow totals, and these were just this morning. Middleville coming in at 5 inches, Walker 7.5. So we finally entered into the cold pattern, and the thing about Michigan is we usually pick up about half of our snow from lake effect. So about half of it is system snow and half of it is just cold air pouring over the lake. So if we don't get the cold air, of course, we don't get the snow. And that's what happened last year, and that's kind of what has happened this year so far until basically this week.
So let's talk about the advisories in place.
Yeah.
What counties and until, what time?
So it's basically everyone in our viewing area, but I'm glad that you brought that up because this has been extended. So this is going to be until tomorrow. Originally, it looks like the advisory was going to expire around 7 o'clock this evening, but it's looking like the lake effect snow band should be able to hang on even through tomorrow. So that means tomorrow by about noon, we should continue to have winter weather advisories for everyone. And that also means that we have deteriorating conditions for everyone. We could pick up an additional 2 to even 6 inches of snow between now and noon tomorrow.
I think a big one, especially, obviously this morning, was visibility.
Yeah.
That was tough drives on the way to work today. Is that something that we can see, throughout the rest of this storm that we're facing right now?
It is, and I'll have you pull up the radar so you can see just how far some of the lake effect snow bands are reaching. Visibility is down to about 0.2 miles or so. So it is a problem across everywhere, and our visibility futurecast actually carries this out so that you can see that we have 0.2 visibility basically throughout the duration. So this is your typical lake effect snow situation where you have day after day of cold and day after day of these rounds of snow. So I think a lot of times people expect to have to drive in these conditions once they're on onset. It's the onset that is the trickiest, I believe. I'm trying to get the snow visibility futurecast up for us. Having trouble getting our graphics to bounce out of snow totals, but it's really interesting to see how it goes from basically 0 to less than a mile on and off for the next 24 hours or so. This is going to be sticking around, Luke, for I would say the next 10 days or so. So through Valentine's.
All right.
It's going to be a pretty chilly Valentine's.
We do have one, and again, I do want to make a mention real quick, folks. If you are watching, use those hashtags. Seeing a few of them roll in here. If you have any questions, we got one right now, Ellen, from...
Yeah.
This is from Wilson. Should pop up. There we go.
Okay.
Wilson asked, "Hi, Ellen. Are
Hi.
we to expect snow nonstop for the next few days?"
Okay, so it's a great question. So I would say not necessarily nonstop. Lake effect needs more than just cold air to generate. It needs several things. It needs cold air, but it also needs sufficient moisture. So within the cloud layer, it also needs a certain amount of depth of cold air. So if you don't have some of the conditions lining up just right, it can be cold, but the lake effect snow will shut down. I think over the next week or so, we're going to be seeing rounds of snow. This first round is the one that's ongoing now. Then we'll see things settle down just a little bit between noon and maybe 6 o'clock on Saturday. And then get this, we get another sweep of snow dropping 1 to 3 inches Saturday night, and then another sweep of snow through Sunday. And after each of these sweeps of snow, it helps to kick up some of those factors that we were talking about to help the snowfall even more so. So I would say expect rounds of snow. It's not going to be nonstop, but when it does stop, grab the shovel and clear off the driveway because more's coming.
And I prepared for this too.
Oh, did you?
Bought one of these.
That is the wimpiest snow brush I've ever seen.
It was at the dollar store. It was on the way out, and it was exactly what I needed. I will say it is.
I'm so sorry. No, I'm so
cheap.
proud of you for being prepared. But I was expecting like some. You know what? No problem. No problem. I know what to get you now for National Weather Person's Day. Even though it's not your day, I might. Get.
All right. Well, that being said, we'll move on to the next one here. Wilson, man. Thank you. Hopefully that got answered there for you. We have another one here from Jenny. Jenny asks, #Hey Luke, #Hey Ellen. What about the state line Sturgis area?
Okay, Sturgis, I think that you are probably going to be spared some of the lake effect snow. On radar right now, you can see that we're not seeing as much, and that's just because of how the lakeshore is shaped. The snow is intensified right around the concave portion of the lakeshore. That's why Allegan County a lot of times sees more snow than everyone else. And where we start to go concave, we see the intensification of the band, and then convex are basically like the part of the lakeshore that bounces out a little bit more. You don't see as good a factor. So Sturgis area, I think you're going to see snow Saturday night, 1 to 3 inches. And then again, we have another sweep of snow. It's looking like Monday into Tuesday. And that one you could pick up several inches because it looks like it's going to be taking a more southerly track. So in between, you could see some light lake effect snow bands as the wind switches around. But those are the big sweeps in the next few days.
Jenny, thank you for that question. So while I do put a few more here in the queue before we take them, I do want to talk about, I guess, you mentioned it a little bit here, moving into the weekend.
Yeah.
Can you talk on that a little more?
You bet. So multi-day event here. Yesterday, Thursday, before the snow hit, we were in the mid-30s. And then today we've dropped into the 20s and the teens with wind chills near zero. We're going to keep getting rounds of Arctic air that pushes down. So because of that, we're going to continue to revamp our cold. So it looks like the polar air is going to sink down to near Canada, and then round after round just gets kicked in. That means Saturday we're in the teens. Our feels like temperatures, our wind chills will be near zero, but we're not going to see as strong of wind gusts as we did today. That's one saving grace for the weekend. Today we've been seeing wind gusts in the 40 to even 50 mile per hour range. Actually, I think Grand Haven, Saugatuck, Macatawa all came in near 50. So Saturday, Sunday, anticipate the winds lessening just a bit. Saturday, west 10 to 15, pretty standard. Sunday, west 5 to 15. But highs will be in the low teens, and we will see some of those rounds of snow like Saturday night. And then, honestly, the conditions just continue. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it actually looks like it gets even colder Friday. We'll be in the teens, and then Friday we could see a high in the single digits. So this is something that we usually see in a given winter. So people that are native to Michigan are like, yeah, it gets cold. But the thing is, we haven't experienced cold like this in about 2 years here.
Interesting.
It's been a while. So I think that's one of the reasons why this storm is a bigger deal. If it were to have fallen in like 2013, 2014, when it was perma-winter and really awful, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But you have to consider that sociology effect. Like, how are people going to be driving? How are people going to be reacting when they haven't felt cold like this in 2 years, when we haven't had to shovel that much?
And I think that talking about how it's going to be next week, this is a good segue into, this one's from Sky, talking about school closings next week. And I think this is a good chance to plug Blake Arms.
Definitely.
His school closing predictions. Ellen, where can that be found?
So school closing predictions is right on our website, and it's really great. Usually 1 to 2 days out, he'll start to put out alerts for the specific school districts. Really great product, really smart kid. And I shouldn't even call him a kid, like really smart meteorologist professional. He has been able to figure out the districts and kind of some of the rules that they keep, and what the road network is like, what the plows are like. So not only does he factor in our Storm Team 8 forecast, but he also factors in some of those secondary factors, so that way you can figure out which schools are most likely to be closed. So it's not like a slam dunk question, but I would say that we have a good chance of seeing more school closings next week. There aren't any giant storms headed our way next week, but the cold and the fact that even a small system will drop a good 2 to 4 inches sets the stage for more closures.
And I do want to ask one more before we continue on with our conversation. Looks like we got the graphics here.
Hey, I'm hoping, because we have so many good ones loaded.
And before we continue on with those, I do have another one from Leanna. This one is about a specific area again, Battle Creek. It says hashtag Hey Ellen about Battle Creek. How much more should we expect?
Depends on the time frame. I would say for Battle Creek, expect another 2 inches between tonight and probably about noon tomorrow. And then I would expect through the next week or so about 6 to maybe 8 inches of snow. Areas that are closer to the lake shore could pick up a fresh 2 feet by the time we get to next Friday. 2 feet. And right now, our deficits for spots like Muskegon are large. They're sitting at about 40 inches. So if we could pick up 2 feet for spots like Muskegon within a week, I mean, that cuts our deficits by more than half. And then Battle Creek, Kalamazoo is the best snow kind of site that we have that's closest to Battle Creek. Snow reporting stations are incredibly rare. We basically have 3 official ones, Muskegon, Lansing, and Grand Rapids, and then a couple of unofficial ones, Holland and Kalamazoo, that we pull from. But it has to be super consistent, and it has to be done correctly and every single day. So we really don't have many locations to pull climatology from. That being said, Kalamazoo, which is the closest to Battle Creek there, you're still short by almost 30 inches. So Battle Creek, you might pick up about 6 to 8 in the next week. I think that's a conservative number. So that'll help with the deficit, but it definitely won't crush it completely.
Leanna, thank you for that question. All right, Ellen, let's move into the graphic that we have there in between us.
I'm so disappointed too because I have like 40 graphics loaded, but that's okay,
All
Luke.
right.
This will not be our first or last Hey Luke, Hey Ellen segment, I'm sure. So we'll get that ironed out.
So, we can talk about, whatever ones you want to chat about.
Yeah.
So what do we have here with this one?
So this is just our radar now, and what I really love about it is notice the snow that's all the way over to the northeast of Flint. That is lake effect. So lake effect snow, for those of you that don't know or need a refresher, lake effect snow starts over the lake. If you look at Milwaukee, they've got cloud cover, but they don't have bands of snow. Lake effect snow literally is cold air that travels over Lake Michigan. With the conditions being just right, it scoops up snow, and you can see how it starts to scoop up the water and turn it into snow about halfway over the lake. And then right before it hits the lakeshore in Muskegon and Ottawa County and Kent County, it starts falling as snow. So it's purely weather caused by our Great Lake. And on windy days like today, the lake effect snow bands can blow clear across the state. Lake effect snow goes wherever the wind does. So it's like a really easy way to tell what direction the wind is coming from. Right now it's south-southwest at about 20 miles per hour and occasionally 30 miles per hour with those gusts near 40. So everyone is seeing lake effect now. Tonight the lake effect snow is going to die down a little bit for Lansing and Saginaw and Flint because the wind is going to start to lessen. But in general, we just kind of ride the wind waves here over the next several days because the wind determines who's going to see what snow. In general, if you live closer to the lakeshore this week, you're going to have to do way more shoveling. But in general, if you live near the lakeshore, you already know that.
So going back, we mentioned visibility early on, like right on the beginning of the stream. This one's from Wendy here. Wendy, thank you for asking. She asks, what about visibility in Muskegon, Fremont for tonight and tomorrow?
Okay, Wendy. Yeah, I would say expect near zero at times. So the typical lake effect setup where at times you've got about a mile visibility. It's not so bad on the roads. And then once one of those bands thickens up and just moves over you or you move under it, it drops to zero. So that would, I think, continue forward all the way tonight. And then even through noon tomorrow, you might get a break between noon and about, I would say, 8 p.m. And then we get ready for another wave of widespread snow. So not lake effect, not lake generated, but just like a system of snow that drops about 1 to 3. And that'll probably drop your visibility down to about 2 miles again. The lower the visibility, obviously, the heavier the snow. So Muskegon area, I would say plan on about a half a mile to a mile for the next 24 hours or so, just under.
And I think here, as we're getting close to rush hour here, and it's still an hour or so away, but I think it's important. Wendy, thank you again for that question. Going to unpublish that to look at our conditions, in real time out there. It's not the best, but I for lunch I was taking it slow as everyone was, and it was 35 miles an hour on the highways, if that. So, and those back roads, some of them haven't even been hit yet with the plows. I know, like my road.
Oh yeah, my husband got stuck at the end of our driveway today.
Oh really? So, all right, that's a look there at MDOT. We'll go back to the radar here. Another one I wanted to hit on is just the cold. Just so, you mentioned about in comparison to a couple years ago in a few years ago in 2019, some seriously cold temperatures heading our way.
Absolutely. So we're starting to feel the first effects of that now with the wind chills right around zero. Through the week ahead, it's going to stay that way, 0 to below 0 in the overnight hours. And then once we get to Friday, it's looking like a week from today, we get another round of Arctic air that pushes this down even further, which means wind chills could be well below 0. The thing is, we usually hit about 30 below statistically, usually once a year. We usually get at least one day where that happens. But we haven't seen that in about 2 years, and it hasn't really been since 2014 that we've seen an extended period of tricky weather. 2019 was a really good taste of what West Michigan could do, and remember, during the polar vortex, we had day after day of wind chills at 25 below and 30 below. We could see one day like that in this upcoming stretch, but it all depends on the wind timing, and if we were to see that, I think it would be later this week. So again, this is just the start. This is the time to remember pets. Don't keep them outside. I mean, it's a no-brainer, but for some reason, we sometimes still have to remind people of that, or others need to remind people of that. Check on people that need to be checked on during snowy events that might get snowed in. And then, of course, any exposed skin. It can get frostbite so much quicker in these types of conditions. We're talking 45 minutes or less. So outdoor workers, it's time to put on some of those heavier layers, even if you're a pretty tough person.
So as we wrap up here, is there any other things that you want to hit on? A couple more questions that I'm seeing here in our stream are asking again about the weekend in Grand Rapids. I know, with viewers flowing in and out, could you just expect or tell us what we're expecting to see here this weekend in Grand Rapids?
Yeah, you bet. Snow like we're seeing now should continue to about noon on Saturday. We'll see some ebb and flow as the wind starts to die down. Temperatures tonight are going to be falling to 10. And then for Saturday, only climbing to 16, but feeling like 0. So that's the key. It's going to feel like 0 for both Saturday and Sunday. Saturday night, we'll get a system snow that moves through. So just a small little storm system. It drops about 1 to 3 inches. But that means Saturday night into Sunday, conditions deteriorate. It's another time that the plows might have to be out. And then once we get to Sunday, things settle down a bit, but it's just cold with some residual light lake effect snow showers. So overall this weekend, it's just going to be settling into that cold and waiting for a couple of waves of snow. I know Super Bowl, a lot of people might be doing the socially distant but safe thing with small gatherings. Just be careful on some of the back roads. Those are the ones that, of course, don't get hit. And if you're caught outside with a bad tire, you can get frostbite all the easier. Just to compare, it's going to be 74 in Tampa, where Jack Doles is covering the Super Bowl this Sunday. Poor guy.
Yeah. He's been working hard out there. All right, folks. Yep. If there's any other questions that you have, go ahead and put them up in the feed. We'll dip out here in just another moment or so. One that I'm seeing right here, I'm going to put up, if it will load for me, this one from Tiffany. There we go. Just hashtag, hey, Luke, when can I attempt to drive back to GR? I think that's another good point in kind of watching when you're on the roads right now.
Right. I would say if you can wait until Saturday afternoon, that's probably your next best window, because the winter weather advisory ends, the wind starts to calm down, and it's before that system snow. I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know where you're driving from. But in general...
Be cautious.
Yeah, be cautious. Yep, but that's probably about the time that things settle down and the plows will be able to really catch up by that point.
Nice. All right, folks, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Ellen, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Again, hopefully this isn't the last time we see you up here. We got some pretty serious stuff here, even over the next week, as she just mentioned. Going to wrap up here again over on woodtv.com. You'll find the forecast, all that you need. And that'll do it here from the live desk. My name's Luke Laster. Have a great afternoon, folks, and drive safe out there.